Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together.
Hey, wily ambitious leader. You know we talk about the brain. We talk about productivity. We talk about wealth. And today we get to talk about style and soul style with a soul stylist, Amanda Wheel, who's here today. A few weeks back, we had Michelle Task on the podcast, and immediately Michelle introduced me to Amanda. I spent hours looking at her Facebook or social media and was like, we get to have Amanda on the podcast to bring her to you to talk about style, and not just style on the outside, but really, how are you showing up, right? We're always talking about our thoughts, our beliefs, our identity. And now we get to learn a little bit more about how do we put that all together so we can show up as a very stylish person, but that there's a reflection of what we have on the outside that's also in the inside. And I know Amanda shared with us before we started recording that she's really excited to get kind of nerdy and geeky with us today. We really look underneath the neuroscience and go deeper. So it's not just the surface level, but actually to peel back the layers so that you can listen to this episode and really start to vibrate and show up as your true self, feeling fully aligned both inside and out. So Amanda, welcome today. I'm excited. Carol and I are so excited to have you here. So welcome. And
thank you.
Yeah, share us a bit about your journey, how you got to becoming this soul stylist and how you're helping your clients really, the word to me is just like radiate, with their confidence and their being, so that there's that full alignment both internally and externally and how they're showing up. Not just about the colors, as you said, the winter, summer, and the wardrobe, but like that it matches, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And that was such a beautiful introduction. And I love that we're going to nerd out on the science, because I just feel like for far too long, people have thought of style as very materialistic. And I get that, because that's oftentimes how it's portrayed. Like, oh, go buy the newest thing on trend. You need this bag. You need this designer. And when you actually really start to dive deep and really understand styling yourself from the soul level, which is why I've coined myself a soul stylist, then you start to understand that when you are so intentional with your style, what you're putting on your body, the intention that you're setting with it, even like the energetics of the fabrics, the colors, it goes so deep. When you start to realize the power in that, then you really learn how to use your clothing as a tool to create and really step into the next version of yourself.
Wow.
So it's so fascinating. And, we were talking a little bit before the show that prior to this, I was in corporate America. I always loved clothes. I always loved style. I've always just had an eye to put things together. And I just thought that I needed to have this big corporate career to prove myself as being successful, and like, oh, look, I'm working for Yahoo. I'm working for Sony. I must be important. And so for 13, 14 years, that's what I did. And I climbed the corporate ladder and I essentially chased money because it was great money. And, at the time it was fulfilling and it felt great. And then something just started to happen and my soul was like, we need more than this. Like, you are meant for more. How can you really help people?
Yeah.
And it's just, I call it like the start of my awakening. Which is why like I've coined my process Style Awakenings, because it was the start of my awakening. And I went through leadership, which you're really familiar with. I went through MITT about, now like 11, 12 years ago. And that was really the impetus for me leaving corporate and trusting that I could launch a business. It just helped me see that this deeper work that I was starting to do on myself, I started to realize, wait, I think I can incorporate this with style and with fashion and really bring that transformational element in.
Yeah.
That's when
Yeah.
Soul stylists, like they're the depth there, right? It's not the surface level. And we all know people who are wealthy and miserable talk about chasing the money, right? It's not the money. Money magnifies who we are. We have the value and the worth, but when you start to go into the identity work that we all do, this is where the impact becomes so far expanding so far, it's something that where we are having the lives that we absolutely 100% deserve to have, but with fulfillment, with
Mhm.
satisfaction, with heart-centered alignment. Like these are the messages that I talk about every day, the things that are in my heart. And so that's what I hear. I'm extrapolating based on, from a neuroscience perspective of what my perspective is and the way I see the world, and taking us deeper on fashion. Oh my gosh, right? Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
what you do. So, what jumping from corporate and jumping from a love of fashion into the soul, like
Mhm.
what took you on that journey?
Oh gosh, that's such a good question. I reflect back on my story for most of my life. I would say for probably 30, gosh, maybe even 40 years of my life. I felt like I always just wanted to fit in. Like I was always
Mm.
trying to fit in. In high school, I was on the dance team and I wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in with the cool kids. I wanted to fit in corporate. And so I always felt like I had to dress a certain way or like act a certain way or be a certain way. And it's the more, I mean, I'm always working with a mentor or a coach or diving deeper into self-discovery and transformation. And the more I've been able to peel away the layers and realize that the only true security, the only true happiness, the only true safety comes from within when we learn how to
Mm.
love ourselves. And the only way that we can truly quote unquote fit in, which I don't even think you want to fit in, is when you love yourself inside and out.
Mm.
So I really feel like my purpose, oh, I have goosebumps. I really feel like my
Woo.
purpose in the world is to help other people, men and women, mostly women, because I feel like we struggle with this a little bit more, to be a safe space for them to learn how to love themselves. And I
Mm.
just happen to do it through style. But whether it's you're on a weight loss journey, instead of hating on your body, let's love your body and let's dress it. You're on a journey of building your business and maybe you're a little bit in debt. Okay, let's not make the debt wrong. Let's appreciate that we have that to build our business. So it's helping people feel like they don't have to prove themselves anymore. They don't have to be a certain way. They can just be happy in their own skin. And that's a journey that I'm forever
Mm.
on.
Yeah.
So I feel like I just get to turn around now and help people with that as well.
Oh, wow. 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 So, what does that look like if I'm coming to you and, I'm going to be speaking on big stages and I really want to stand out and um, be who I truly authentically am? What does that look like? Where do I go with you?
It's so interesting because so with everyone, I take them through what I call the Style Awakenings process. And that's really, it's like a 3 month process with me. So it's not just about like, all right, let's go shopping and find something that works for your body. Like you could hire anyone to do that. You could go to Nordstrom and someone to do that. And that's great. If that's what you want, that's great. If you truly want to get clear on like your next level and embody that person, then you come to me. And so before we do shopping, before we do any of that, we go through what I call ignite your soul style session. And it's people are always like, do we just have therapy? And I'm like, we kind of they just have therapy because it's helping you clarify, well, what do you really want in your life? Not what someone else has
Mm.
told you or what you think you should be striving for. What do you really want?
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you? How do you feel when you've achieved that? And then also what's getting in the way so that we can start to clear out some of the resistance.
Yeah.
And it's in that process that people are kind of describing it. And I'm asking them a lot of questions and taking them through that I start to see the style vision. Like I start to see a
Mm.
style for them. And so I'm able to take all that we've talked about and create a vision board on Pinterest. And I start to pull together images that feel like this next phase that they've been talking about. And we go back and forth and map out, until we get that finalized. And then from there, again, before we go shop or before we like bring anything, we have to go through the detox phase. So
Mm.
the closet and soul detox.
Wow.
because a lot of people are holding on to things in their closet, and I'm sure you've
Guilty.
heard, or I'm sure you say this, if it's happening in your closet, it's happening everywhere in your life.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
if there's stagnant energy and you're holding on to something for a reason, then that's showing up in other areas and it's impacting you from really stepping into who you are and what you want. So as I'm going through the closet detox with people, I'm able to, I think I just have a lot of in, intuition around this. And I kind of hear what they're not saying. And
Mm.
so I'm able to get a sense of like, as we're going through, like, wait a second, there's some scarcity stuff coming up. There's some
Mm.
worthiness stuff coming up. Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And so they're able to like have that release as well of their soul and what's going on within. So it's like a full detox. And
Wow.
so
I love that. I definitely have scarcity in that area. And I realized recently I'm not creating space. I'm not
Mm.
allowing space for the new to come in. And the fear, the scarcity that I have around that is this is a one of a kind. I'm never going to be able to
Mm.
replace this.
yep.
This is something that's important to me, or this is they don't make these anymore kind of thing. So I
Yep.
love this.
Yeah. And you get to ask yourself, like, so as I'm going through that first phase with people, I'm helping them get clear on their future self. We have like a name, we have a mantra, and then get clear on what I call their shadow self. There's nothing wrong with that version of them. It's just, it's gotten them so far, and there's something within that version that's holding them back. So once we start to clarify the two, then you start to ask yourself as you're looking through your closet, wait, does this represent future me or does it represent, shadow me? And
Mm.
that becomes the impetus for how you start to detox.
Oh,
Yeah, as you're speaking, like I just went through this whole process, like as with our move, right? And it's
yes.
like looking through, like it was really, I
Yeah.
remember like as you're speaking, I remember like feeling the emotions, but it felt so good. It felt very like freeing. I felt lighter, right?
Yeah.
And just asking myself, through some of the stuff that, of course, I'm leaving obviously Calgary where there's winter, and so if I do have boxes of winter clothes, but it was very, just going through the process and the mantra. And there are moments where I would get stuck. There are moments where I was like, I had a hard time sort of like letting go and releasing certain things. And, or even after the whole process going back. And so really what you're sharing with me is really supporting, because even as I get to go back and go, do another round, like it's like almost like several rounds. And do you notice that with your clients? Like
Yes.
it's not just a closet detox, like it takes sort of several rounds, like as
Yeah.
what's coming to, like the shedding, right? The shedding of the layers. But I will say, because a lot of what you're speaking about, I can relate to, it felt very, very, I guess, like a humbling experience in a way. I
Mhm.
didn't really anticipate it. And do you notice that with your clients too, that are like, they might experience the resistance at the beginning, right? Because of course, brain safety and things like that. But just like, what do you experience? Like, what gets created? Like, I know I said the freeing piece,
Yes.
but what do you notice in your clients, like their experience and what goes through, for them?
Exactly what you said. At first, there's like resistance where they're like, well, we probably don't have that much to let go of. And I'm
Mm.
like, okay, let's just get started. And yeah, at first it's like the justification of why they need to
Mm.
keep certain pieces.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just have a way again of listening between the lines. And I know when it's something that they really should keep and that they really shouldn't keep. It's just like something in
Mm.
me is like, no, they need to let that go. They can keep that. I'm not brutal. I'm not like, get rid of everything. And so I noticed that, yeah, just like you were saying, once they start letting stuff go, it's almost like a high. And then,
Mm.
oh yeah, and they get to the point where they start to see it themselves.
Mhm.
Mm.
A lot of times after we finish the first round of the detox, I'll get a message a few days later, or like a picture of like, oh yeah, I cleaned out another bag of stuff. I went back. I don't need this. I don't need this. Because once you go through the process and you start to let go, it starts to trickle. And a lot of times clients will um, cry during the detox. They'll have like that emotional release, or they'll try to like I had one client where she was just trying to stuff it down and power through and stuff it down. And she was going really fast. And I just said, I need you to pause for a second and just breathe.
Mm.
And she paused and she breathed and she just like waterworks, just like let it all out. And just like stuff started coming up that she was feeling. And
Yeah.
it was so cathartic.
It's
It's
super
There's
powerful.
an identity, right? Like there's like
Mhm.
that was this, a lot of my closer CEO moving to Panama, right? Like
Yep.
two very different wardrobes. I think it's helped in a way. And I will be honest, I went back and I still felt like there was still a lot of like
Yeah.
work type, CEO, corporate type. And it was that it, man, yeah, working through that identity shift, right? And being able to detach from what the clothes mean, right? Like there's so much
Right.
attachment to what the clothes mean in regards to identity. Like, how do you help the clients work through that? Because if that's also what someone has known, all the way up to this point, right? Again, brain safety and
Yeah.
familiarity, like working through that. Like there's one thing with doing the work on the paper, but now we're talking like a complete transformation
Yeah.
and not just, right, like externally, right? It's not just going on internally, right? Whereas many people don't see it, like they experience it, but now we're talking like outside. Now we're talking about maybe wearing, I don't know, styles we've never worn before or colors we've never worn before,
Or to play on that, like a practical thing is if you're if I have been guilty of holding on to clothes for different weights because
Yes.
my
mm-hmm.
weight
That's a big one.
has gone like this.
Pre-pregnancy, right? Like getting
Yeah.
back to the pre-pregnancy
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, I can wear this when I've dropped 5 pounds. I can wear this when I've gained 5 pounds, kind of thing.
Yep.
Like
And
how do
that's
you work through that?
dangerous. That one's dangerous, the weight one, because for someone who has gone on a weight loss journey and they're holding on to stuff because they're like, well, what if I gain it back? I'm like, well, then you're giving yourself permission to gain it back if you're holding on to the clothes.
Yeah.
Let it go. And it's you have to be touchy with, weight gain and all of not touchy. You have to be just sensitive with it. And I get honest with people. I'm like, well, how long has it been since you've worn those? And if they're like 10 years, I'm like, come on, come on. There's a new
Yeah.
style. There's something that's going to look better on you. If they're like 6 months, I'm like, okay, well, you're working out again. You're like, let's give it 3 more months or let's give it a time frame, in order for that. And what you were saying about like, yes, it's interesting because you're letting go of one identity that maybe served you well. And so you are attached to that version of you. And my work is really to remind people of the vision and what they're stepping into and
Mm.
just continue to remind them of that. And also just again, just be a safe space for them so that they know they feel loved, they feel safe with me, they feel, like that I'm not going to judge them, that they can be open and honest. And I think there's just something in that where they feel like they can trust me.
Wow.
Mm.
I think it's just that, like my clients, because I mean, we go through a lot, so it's definitely like a relationship for sure.
Oh, it's so powerful, right? It's so like I think having a mentor and a guide through this process is invaluable. It's priceless.
Great.
Because trying to do this on my own, I could just see where I've gotten stuck in the past. I've let the past, the shadow self, the past represent me in the future. And I
Yeah.
don't have to do that, right?
Right.
So reminding us of our vision, of the vision of what already exists, what we're walking into and the quanta, right? It's just
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing to have somebody with you alongside of you, asking you those relevant questions, taking you through a process. And I love what you said about reward because our brains are actually rewired for reward, our brain, our heart, our gut, and um, receiving that the reward built in itself of creating this space where you're getting calls from clients going, hey, I got rid of another bag.
That's the best feeling. That's,
So,
yeah, it's such a good feeling. And it's interesting too, Alex, you touched on something where you were saying like you're not just doing the inner transformation, you're also doing the outer. And I think that's something that we see a lot in the transformational space that people stay in their head, they stay in their heart, right? They're doing the inner work and they're kind of in
Mm-hmm.
this bubble and they forget that like there is a world going on. And I get we're, in this human body having a human experience and we can talk all about like the souls and all that, yet we also live in a 3D world. So
Mm-hmm.
people have to be out there. And so when you then take the action in the physical, I truly believe that's why the transformation happens so fast for my clients because they're
Mm.
doing both. They're not just staying stuck in the inner work where I think that in the transformation world, you can just get stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck.
the
So
actions reflecting the inner work you're doing,
Yeah.
that you're pairing them
Yeah.
together. I do that in my wealth program too. One of the pieces that I had missed in the past was being able to give the clients the neural wealth method, but then I was losing them to strategy. We now include strategy. So we
Important.
do the neural wealth in combination with the game plan and the action steps that make it real and are reflective of the work being done, right? I
Yeah,
love that. So
it's so
obviously I
important.
relate to that very much.
Yeah, we have
Well,
to take action. We can't just sit back
yeah.
and kumbaya. Like we
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious by a very common belief that often we'll hear around like closets and clothing of like, I have nothing to wear.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
So I'm curious, like for us to like unpack this a little bit, right? Regarding like I know that is one belief. I'm sure I have probably said it and Carol said it before. And maybe Amanda, you said that too. What are some other beliefs that you notice that your clients experience around dress, around even identity and clothing that uh, like that maybe create this stuckness going
Yeah.
through the transformation and that often prevent them from moving forward?
Yes, yes, yes. Definitely that they have nothing to wear, even though they have a closet full of clothes. And it's interesting because it's like with that one, I can just look at stuff with a different eye and be like, wait, but you can mix this with this and this. And they're like, huh, I never thought about that. And it's a great reminder of like when we have problem or we have something like, you just got to look at it from a different perspective. Like there's a
Mm,
different way to do things. So that one is really interesting. A lot of people I hear just we've been trained that there's all these fashion rules that, oh, if I'm this
mm,
body type, I can't wear this. I can't wear stripes. I can't wear this. That color doesn't work for me. I can't do that. That's really what a lot of people say, like, oh, I can't wear an A-line skirt. I
Yeah.
can't wear a short skirt. I can't wear this. My body is this. My body is that. And they've created this identity around it. And it's really my role to help them play again and remember
mm,
that, like, okay, maybe that color yellow doesn't look good on you, but guess what? There's a different shade of yellow that does.
Mm.
Right. So helping them realize that, like, just because they've heard these rules or they see people wearing things and they think that's how they have to wear it, or a lot of clients will say, I don't like wide leg jeans. I just want skinny jeans. And it's like, okay, then wear your skinny jeans. Like, no one's telling you you
Yeah.
can't wear your skinny jeans. That's great. So it's like they've got these thoughts in their head that they can't do something because
mm,
someone else has said they can't. So
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing. And then that's again another reminder of like the world always wants to put limitations. Other people always want to put limitations
mm,
on you based on what they can't see for themselves. And it's a reminder that there are no limitations.
Mm.
You just like you can create whatever you want and you can show up however you want. And like that's true style. There's a difference between fashion and style.
Mm.
Fashion is what we see on the runway.
Yes.
Style is when you make it your own. So
Uh,
it's
want to reiterate that. I think that's so important. Fashion is what you see on the runway, style is what you make your own. And I think that's what happens is so many, let's just say, I mean, not saying that men don't do it too, but I think a lot of women, sort of chase after that, right? Like hoping, like, I mean, I had my uniform. When I was in corporate, it was a blazer and a dress and heels because I believe that it made me show up a lot older and more professional and people would take me more serious,
yep.
right? And so it was like this becomes this identity. If you look at my closet is pretty much all dresses, right? And I will say, even going to Panama, it's like I just love dresses and that's how it is, right? Like
Yeah.
we're breaking that, right? That comfortability, that comfort level
mm.
of owning a certain style. And because it's so external, like I'm just like the judgment piece. I feel like there's so much internal judgment, there's so much internal criticism around and like the comparison thing because it is such an external
What's
thing,
trending? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Uh,
trending. If I see the same, I mean, I just feel like you look around and everyone's wearing the same thing. And even I travel internationally a lot. Like I host retreats international and I just
Yeah.
love to travel. And you go everywhere and people are like dressed kind of the same. It's become very homogenized. And I know that's because of the internet. It's because Zara is everywhere, and
Yeah.
I just want to bring back in individuality and like pizzazz to people's style. Like I just stop wearing the sambas that everyone's wearing. And like, yes, I love Adidas and I love Gazelles and all that, but like just you don't have to buy the sambas just because everyone else is. Like if you love them, great. But I
Yeah.
just feel like so many people buy it because they think that's the cool thing.
Getting to be unique is something we don't receive the message of, that, and you touched off with that, our need for external approval, and which is different from doing the inner work and expressing it in the outer expression. But
Exactly.
the important part of, who are we letting speak over our lives? Whose plans are we listening to? Whose voice are we listening to? Are we trusting ourselves? Are we getting to be ourselves? Because the most outstanding art that I can think of in terms of fashion is with people who follow their own interest. One of my colleagues, who's an actor and an art collector, is he's one of the top 35 designers in the US. And his dress, like when he walks around down the street, heads turn because he's wearing the blazer that's hand painted. He's wearing these really unique pieces that celebrate who he is and embraces who he is, and giving ourselves the permission to trust ourselves, because we started out from very young age constantly learning to seek external validation. And so this is something that is really powerful when we are learning to experience what we want to experience. And I've never thought about this in this way in terms of fashion and style. I've never thought about being specific about it in this way. So I think it's
Well,
really powerful.
and
Yeah.
when we're looking at that external validation, we know that we get dopamine from that, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
the way we dress, and again, more, I think more for women than men, people comment, right? Ooh, I like that. And it's like, if I didn't get a comment, right? There's the whole like, there's the whole psychological assessment of like the outfit or all of the things. Like, I mean, okay, I'll admit, like the amount of time that I know I have spent like maybe overthinking or like, going to an event and trying to figure out, well, what everyone's wearing because I don't want to
You're
be
being
underdressed or
judged.
overdressed or
Yeah.
right. I think for women, again, there's a lot of energy that really gets
Yeah.
into that, right? And a lot of in the brain. And it's because, going back to the three roots, right, of like being loved and accepted, right? If we feel like acknowledge what we're wearing, then it helps us feel loved and accepted, feeling seen and heard. If people point out what we're wearing or acknowledge it, then we know that people are seeing us, and being safe and secure, if people are acknowledging and approving of what we're wearing, then that creates that safety and the security. And so as we're having this conversation, I'm realizing so much more, like really how much, fashion, clothing, things that were, or our style, more so than fashion, but our style probably subconsciously plays such a role in the confidence, in the identity, in that, again, that external validation without us even realizing it, because it's just part of, I think, society and what we're very used to, with just, I mean, I don't know for you, Carol and Amanda, but like, you're on YouTube and it's like how to style for your body, and the amount of videos and YouTube videos, and, especially like going through
Yeah.
body changes with pregnancy and postpartum, and like trying to learn and study and understand that, right? We can
Yeah.
end up going down rabbit holes to help with the confidence because somebody else approved it or somebody else said like, oh, this is
Yeah.
how you should dress or something like that, right?
That's exactly what it is. And it's interesting because I have a lot of people that will say, like, oh, you should create more content talking about how to dress for this body type and how to dress for this. And I'm like, no, that's not what I do. I
Yeah.
help you dress for you.
Mm.
Not every person with a similar body type should be wearing the same thing because it doesn't represent you. And I love what you were saying about that. Yes, how we feel like we want the acknowledgement and all of that. And I think at the root of it also is like when you get to the place where you're so connected to yourself, to your soul, you feel so confident, and you're giving yourself that, you're giving yourself the acknowledgement, the love, the validation. Obviously, when you walk into a room, that's what's going to be reflected back to you. And that's what I'm really helping my clients
Mm.
understand also on a deeper level, that it's if you want to receive that from someone else, you have to, number one, give it to yourself, see it in yourself, and then you have to give it out.
Yeah, the
Mm.
energy of that.
The energy, it's the energy. And I bring in a lot of like energy clearings and help teach people about that too, and really help them understand that like someone could walk into a room in a white tank top and jeans and everyone's head could turn
Yeah.
because it's how they feel in that, and it's how they feel about themselves. Whereas someone else could walk in a ball gown and feel completely self-conscious and no one will look.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's really what true style is about, is like when you know yourself on such a deep level that you can put on anything that represents you, and you might get a compliment, you might not. And you're cool. Like I've had people, I've had people comment on some of my stuff online, like, oh, those boots don't really go with that dress. And I'm like, awesome, thank you. That's why I love style. You don't have to wear it like that. It feels, I love pairing those animal boots with that wild dress. It feels great to me. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's what's coming up. This is where I love getting, it's like my thought brain starts going. What do you say to yourself in the mirror? And what do you coach your clients, or how do you support them, right? Like, because that's what I'm thinking. It's like what I'm hearing you say is before you even go at anywhere, it's like you're looking yourself in the mirror, you're admiring yourself. So what does that conversation look like for you and coaching clients? Like, I'm curious if there's any mantras or things like that that you support them with, especially if there's some resistance when, with the negativity bias. And if the default is like the criticizing what they're seeing in front of the mirror, how do you support shifting that with the dialogue so that it can also support in how they show up confidently in how they're dressed?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I love that. I love the mirror work. And so with each of my clients, as we're going through the process, they get a style mantra. So it might be like, it's like a 3 word, I am a blank, blank, blank and stylish woman or and stylish man. So they've got this mantra and it's the deeper words. It's like, I am loyal. I am, I don't know, sexy. I like whatever it is, like, whatever you want to feel like that's sexy's in mind. Right. And so they have this mantra and then they also have this higher self name. And so typically with clients, I start to understand what their biggest limiting belief is or what that story is they have about themselves. And so I ask them to just focus on the opposite, like when they're looking in the mirror, just to focus on the opposite. Like instead of pouring money on or energy on like, oh, I've gained weight, I've da 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 da. I'm like, no, I want you to look and compliment the things you love about yourself and go on a deeper level, not just like your eyes or your whatever. Compliment yourself on your work ethic, on your loyalty, on your like all the great things that you have going on in your life. And so, look, I have days where that's tough for me too, like aging, all the things like I'll look and be like, oh, the gray hairs are coming in. And then I'm like, wait, stop, stop, stop. Right. And it's sometimes if I'm having a bad day and things don't feel like they're working out or going right, I'll just go look in the mirror and I'll be like, hey, I see you. You're amazing. Like, keep going. I see you. You're putting in the effort. And you just got to talk to yourself as if you want to hear it from someone else. Because again, like, no one else can tell you that. Like, you have to tell yourself that. So that's big with my clients. And just on their mood board, I put their mantra on there so they can print that out. And I think for a lot of them, when they go back and look at the mood board and they actually see the representation in the clothes, it elevates them as well. So they're like, oh yeah, that's who I am. That's who I really am.
Oh, I love
So,
that. I mean, how powerful is that? And it's in alignment with the type of work that Alex and I do, because we're programming in at a new subconscious level, um, new beliefs about ourselves. I am elegant. I am this or that. For me, standing on red carpets and gold carpets was terrifying. Now I've been doing internal work on that because there's so much comparison there and all the beauty and the people who know how to pause like a fashion model. And I've got a couple of daughters who have fashion model. One of them walked in Paris Fashion Week. And so, it just makes it look so natural. And, so all that internal critic that comes in, you're too old to be doing this. And, why you're a dork, whatever it might be for
oh
you.
yeah.
Those are the kind of thoughts that come up. And, and then also getting back some of the photos that are cringe for me, like, oh my God, I'm not seeing myself in reality, So
Yes, yes.
like being able to walk these journeys, do you do any kind of work like that where you take clients into a mirror with their bodies? Do you do any kind of thing in addition to the mantra of, helping them accept who they are right where they are?
Mm. You know what? That typically happens. So after the closet detox, then we move into intentional shopping. And so for some of my clients, we're in person. Either they'll fly to me, I'll fly to them, or for some of my clients, it's all online. And then we're jumping back on video and trying stuff on. And I find that for a lot of my clients, it's during that try-on process where they
Mm.
actually are seeing themselves for the first time. They're seeing that true representation of themselves. And it's the clients who thought they could never wear a certain thing or they could never wear in there, or they've there are certain sizes and they feel like it's impossible to find things that fit. And we go shopping and they're like, I don't understand. How do these 15 things all fit me? I'm like,
Wow.
well, because we got clear on your vision and I just pulled what I knew would work for you. It's just, this is the process. And you can just see like the confidence flooding over them and just the way they
Mm.
see themselves and they just start to hold themselves differently. So that definitely does happen throughout the process for sure.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Wow. That is so powerful. Like, just standing there and having that experience and that confidence. And again, somebody to walk you through that process
Yeah.
because I have definitely been that way. And I know you have too, Alex Leanne, where, you go into a store and you're like, oh no, I'm not trying that on. There is no,
I was there. I spent 10 items and what if 10 fit? Like I remember like just the frustration of like,
yeah,
right, just kind of going through the motion of trying all the things. And that I would say that's a story that I have. Like I have to go to the store. It's hard to find things, right? Being short and being tiny, like, or still the postpartum, like all of these things. And it's just how it drives oftentimes, again, the decision making and the experience, right? So how how do you work through that with your clients when they have all these past experiences, when they have, for example, well, it's going to take me to, all this time to try to think something on, or people who even feel like despair, like not excited because it's just not been a very enjoyable experience. So they feel here's the comparison thing again, right? So and so can go to the store, they can walk in, they can try on anything and it looks amazing and they walk out, shopping's easier for them. Again, as we're having this conversation, I realize like probably without us, I've been realizing the amount of subconscious stories that we have internally about our style, about how we dress, about how we're showing up. Partially why I created sort of rules for myself, because it was like, in order to have a positive shopping experience, I'm only looking for this now. And then I never look outside of that, which is okay. But then you kind of feel like you just have the same thing, which was my experience. And, shopping for new clothing from Panama, it was like, I kept going back to the default of this safety. I know this works. Why would I shift from that? Because this is
yeah,
comfortable. This is easy.
Yep. Yep. You are not alone. There's so many people, men and women, who say that.
yeah,
And I think what it is by the time we get to the shopping, that's further in the phase of it's like further down the line. And so by then I've gained the trust of my clients. We've started to shift things. They've started to open up space. And it's just me continuing to say, like, I need you to drop everything you've learned in the past. I need you to let go of everything. And I just need you to trust me. And they do. Like thankfully they do. And they're like, all right, I'm gonna trust you. We're just gonna go. And even if they're feeling like a little bit nervous, they're feeling a little bit of hesitation after we've gone to the first store together or after we've gone through the first box and they've tried stuff on, that starts to diminish because they're like, oh, this actually looks good. I actually like this. This is working for me, right?
literally
And
brain resistance coming out right then and there. Seriously.
yeah, is that what that was
You're like, no.
your yawn was letting it out? Yeah.
Like getting chills, right? Because I think I what you're bringing to light right here and right now is that I didn't even realize how many stories I have around this. And, now I'm all of a sudden listening to you and I'm going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, so
It's so fascinating because when people start the journey with me, and this is where I'm like working on like the messaging and the branding, and it's like it's interesting because people start the journey and they think one thing, and then they start to go through it, and they're like, I had no idea that this is all that we were going to uncover, and I had no idea that it was going to be this transformational. And they're like, you're selling yourself short, and I'm like, well, I got to figure out how to like market this different or whatever, but because it really is like that's why I would say it's just a tool for me, but we're doing such deeper work
soul
and
work.
soul work, and for people to understand that like, okay, well, maybe you've been thinking that this certain brand is the only brand you could wear, but let's try a different brand because guess what? This is going to work better for your body and for your style. And they realize like, oh, I can go to Ann Taylor and wear this, or the petites at Talbot's don't work for me. Or like they start to understand like, oh, if I go to Nordstrom, this really works. And it's just like broadening the horizon of it. And then again, there's something that's going on subconsciously where they start to broaden the horizon of what they're actually capable of creating. And
Wow.
so they're creating really great change in their lives too, not just their style. Like
Yeah.
they're like tripling revenue, they're losing the weight that they've always wanted to lose, they're calling in the relationship. Like all this other stuff is starting to happen because they're releasing the resistance around style,
On
which
the
they thought was
identity
so
work.
trivial.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you help your clients kind of put some rules together though? Because even as you're talking, you're like the Norris from I'm like the word like it's like, shopping can also become very overwhelming, right? When we think about simplicity and the path of least resistance around that, I'm just curious in terms of really supporting clients long term, are there certain I'm hearing that you're saying it's style, right? And it sounds like it's quite personalized, but I'm curious if there's certain rules or things like even just, for the leader listing today to sort of take a walk away with or take away, just to be mindful and be curious and start to be open
Yeah.
to changes or to start to really
Yeah.
own their
Yeah.
personal style.
Yeah, it's interesting because as people are shopping with me and going through the process, they're definitely learning. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them say. It's almost like a little bit detrimental to me because they go through the process and they're like, I've learned so much. I'm good. Like I'm gonna fly. Like, and I'm like, okay, okay, bye. But then I'm like, oh shoot, I need to, gotta bring in more clients. So it's like every client is unique and different. And so they are learning the sizes that work for them. They're learning the brands that work for them. They're learning style tips as we're trying stuff on, as we're doing that. I mean, the biggest thing for people listening is who think that they need to wear their shirt untucked to camouflage. You are doing yourself a disservice. Tuck in your shirt, do a front tuck. Like you actually are giving yourself proportion when you do that. So that's one big thing that I find a lot of people want to hide and like keep it untucked.
Mm.
I mean, for everyone else listening, it's like you've it's an invitation for you to play, to try on the things that you've always been told that you couldn't wear.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a journey of just trying different things, trying different brands, and seeing what you like on your body. But before you do any of that, you've got to go back and get clear on your vision. You've got to get clear on what you're creating, what's important to you,
Yeah.
how are you going to be showing up once that comes to fruition? Like really get into the vision of that and create your little avatar. Go on Pinterest, pull some images, start to see if there's style icons or actresses or characters whose style you really resonate with. And
Yeah.
so that when you then go into a store, you have maybe one specific piece you want to look for. Maybe there's
Mm.
like this one confidence piece that if you get this bomb fitted blazer, that's going to feel like you. And just focus on that. Like you've got to go in. It's like trying to bake a cake without a recipe. You've got to go in with a
Mm.
little bit of a plan. And
Yeah.
that's why I've got it set up the way I do, where we don't just go shop. So that's what I would
Mm.
say for anyone. Like before you do that, get some clarity on who you really are and check to see what's missing in your closet. What are pieces that you want to add so that you're not buying the same 10 sweaters in different colors? You know?
One of
Like you
the things that I've
don't
done,
need that.
you advise your clients to do this is, well, actually, two questions. How long is your program? How long does it last? And
Yep.
then one of the things that I've learned to do is I'll pick something up and I get it altered. Like if to make the blazer look better on me, I'll get it, taken in the waist a little bit, or I'll get the pants or the blazer, for example, hemmed, or the skirt to the level I want it to be at. And that has really helped me a lot to be able to customize my clothes. And that's probably another reason that I have scarcity factor. I'm like, oh,
Mm.
so that's something for me to really dig into and look at. But yeah, do you advise your clients to be able to do that?
Yeah, two really great questions there. So the first, talking about tailoring, 98% of women should have their clothes tailored.
Mm,
Like everyone thinks they can just go and buy something off the rack, but if you look at how most men shop, they get their stuff tailored.
yeah,
Like no one's body is exactly the same. And so sure, there are some things that you can go and buy off the rack, yet absolutely, like if there's something that you like and it just is a little bit boxy or it needs to be nipped in, go to a great tailor.
mm.
Like if the sleeves are a little too
It's
long, go
really
to
inexpensive.
really inexpensive, and you're doing yourself a favor because you're then going to be so happy with the clothes and the way they fit. You're going to want to wear them instead of feeling like you need to go buy more.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really about it's about quality and fit over quantity.
Mm,
So
uh,
that is huge. So yes, I definitely recommend that. And then you were asking about the time. So for a lot of my clients, they go through the style awakenings process, which is 3 months to go through like the full phase of the vision, the detox, the shopping, and then to create outfits for
Yeah.
them so they can then like they know how to put things together. And then we're also doing the inner work, the inner coaching calls. That's a 3 month. Other clients jump on with me for a year.
Mm.
And this is the mastery program. This
Mhm.
is the folks who really want to go deep and master their life. And so we go really deep with like the energy clearings and all the other fun stuff that I do.
And you have your retreats, right? Like you just got back from a retreat in Italy. So how often are you running those? What do those look like? Because those, I mean, I heard a little bit about the one in Italy. So I'm curious, like, what that looks like, because that sounds like a really
Yeah, that sounds
big
amazing.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silent soul retreats. Yeah, they're magical. So those are group, obviously. They're small group because I want to be able to work one-on-one with people. And it's a combination of style and soul. So it's going to a beautiful location. Like I've done Paris, I've done Milan, I've done Florence. And it's, of course, we're going to shop. We're going to do like a designer day. So you get the bougie champagne experience. Of course, we're going to do like a local day where I've scouted out and found all the really cool local boutiques so we can really experience that. We're going to do some vintage because there's just amazing vintage in all these places. And then we're mixing in soul experiences. So with the retreat I just did in Florence, we actually went to a factory outside of Florence in Scandicci where they make these beautiful handbags of this brand that we all fell in love with. So people got to see from start to finish like the love and everything that was put into the bag. And we went to like the Gucci Gardens, which is a Gucci museum, and Ferragamo Museum. So I'm really all about helping people also understand the history of it
Yeah.
because they really appreciate how it was made. And then you like appreciate if you do buy something, you appreciate it so much more. So, and
Yeah.
then it's also just great sisterhood and, an opportunity for people to just get away for a little bit and just be. Um, so those retreats, I typically, in the past, I've done one a year. This year I have two. So in October, I have Tokyo as
Mm.
another one. So each year
That'll be really fun.
there's typically two.
Wow.
Hmm.
I have a little boutique hotel in southern Chile in the Andes Mountains. We're a retreat center, and we're really nature and ego focused. But one of the things I wouldn't call us a style location by any means, but the village that I live in has existed since 1552, since Pedro de Valdivia came from Spain. However, one of the cool little treats that I get there is there are at least three or four Italian boutiques. The shoppers go and buy from Italy, so I buy my clothes there.
That's
And
awesome.
a lot of times, like I love wearing sneakers, fancy sneakers, and they're all from Italy and custom made. And so, isn't it funny that in southern Chile, that's where I'm able to shop and do that? If you would
Yeah,
have a retreat, let's talk. Let's talk. We can put something together. That'd be really
yeah,
cool.
that could be really cool. And you brought up a good point too, that for a lot of people, I'm also teaching that when we go international and you're buying stuff, you're actually spending less money.
Mm,
So
very
depending on what you're buying, if you're into like if you want a new designer purse or if you want some designer shoes or something like that, you're gonna save about $1,000 because you've got obviously less expensive there because it's not being imported into the States, and then you get the VAT, the sales tax back. And
yeah,
that's usually anywhere from like 12.5 to 15%.
yeah.
So it's really smart. Like I'm at the point now where anytime I buy a bag, it's only in Europe because I'm like, I'm not going to pay more here in the States. Like, and you
Right.
also they have different things there that don't come into the States.
Yeah.
So you're getting something more unique and it's just fun. Like they're just fun.
Yeah. I
I,
think our VAT is 19%, but yeah, you save all that. So yeah.
yeah, that's amazing.
um, which is really cool. It's such an important feature, and I love the fact that you're going and taking people on these experiences, and to it's another level of growth, right? To be able to step out of what is your familiarity zone and have a new experience to embrace it, and the sisterhood, the bond, the collective energy, so incredibly expanding. It really takes things exponential.
And exactly, right? Talking about the interruption. We had Katie Sampaio on the podcast a few weeks ago and talking about her retreats and how, you know, I got to go to her retreat in
Costa
Costa Rica
Rica.
back in
Yeah.
back in May and just really sharing about how right? The vision even behind those retreats is to create that interruption, right? Take you out of the ordinary. So when you're talking about this identity shift, especially like in the wardrobe, in your style, then being able to come together like that is a beautiful opportunity, right? To kind of get out of that comfort, familiarity, and now immerse yourself in that environment. I mean, I have spent a lot of time in Italy, and when you right and you
Yeah.
look and you admire, but it becomes sort of like it's not this foreign concept when you're already immersed there because that's what's available to you. And so when you create, that's why I think I got so excited when I learned about this trip you were doing to Italy, understanding that and helping right the brain be in that environment to create that comfort and familiarity now being immersed in that, right? And so, we always are talking about our brain doesn't know the difference between the rehearsal and the reality. So when you can prime in what you're creating, but now actually be there in person and experience it, that's going to support with that transition of the comfort of what you're used to in your home to now this new experience and embody that, which will certainly support with that shift of identity and owning that the new style, right? And then feeling comfortable in that in a safe space. As you said, your clients really trust you. And so in that the camaraderie that you create on those trips helps build that to then come back home and fully, I guess own that confidence piece in that. I fascinated by fashion and things like that. And so, and just traveling globally and always seeing the different styles and realizing, right, what is comfort to us and being able
Right.
to stretch ourselves, right? I will say this conversation has had me become so much more aware of subconscious. I think, Carol, for yourself as well, like just really, it's not a topic that we often talk much about. And yet
Yep.
how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so leaning into these stories, the beliefs, and how we're showing up in our identity, in our visibility, right? Even just, with the digital web agency and building websites and talking about how people are showing up, being visible, even with a website, how they're showing up with their style and their brand. But
Yeah.
it's the layers of all of this, right? That really play a role in us being unleashed and unstoppable and us being seen and being heard and being the interruption that we are as ambitious, wildly ambitious leaders. So I really appreciate, so greatly appreciate your time today, Amanda, and the gift and knowledge that you've brought with us. Do you have a freebie or a gift that you'd like to share with our audience so they can be part of your mailing list, learn about your next retreats and learn more about your program?
Oh, yes, yes. Actually, I have an amazing gift for everyone. It's, you guys have been listening and we've been talking about soul style, and I actually have a guide. It's kind of like a checklist for how to get started in clarifying your soul style.
Okay.
Oh,
So
Wow.
it's a little bit more like an ebook, but you get to the checklist. But I had a lot to say. So that's a great guide. It gives you like steps on how starting to hone in on your vision and all of that. So I would love to share that. And then for anyone listening, my next retreat coming up in October is Tokyo. And then in next year there will definitely be more. I haven't maybe Spain, definitely Italy again because I'm going to be living there part-time. So there's opportunities to come see me in Milan or Florence or wherever. But yeah, that's the easiest way. And then if anyone wants to follow along on Instagram, it's Amanda Wheel Style. And that's really, if you DM me, I will DM you back. It's me.
We'll have all of this in the show notes for you. And before we close, what would you like to share with us about being unleashed and unstoppable in our style?
So I think what's coming to me is to give yourself grace along the journey. That
Mm.
I think as women on a mission who are like have this big vision and we're like, let's go, I need it like tomorrow. It's
or
also,
yesterday.
yeah, why isn't it here yet? Because that's me,
Yeah.
right? And I have to remind myself of this all the time, but it's like give yourself grace and space that this is an unfolding journey. And it's like that with your style too. Like I would never expect someone to all of a sudden tomorrow have a completely new style and, completely new wardrobe because we're always evolving. Our cells are always changing, new neural pathways are always being created. So your style is going to be evolving along with you. And so it's a journey. And it's like someday something might feel really good to put on. And the next time you go to put it on, you might be like, this is disgusting. I can't wear this. Okay, then let it go. Like, and just remember that
Yeah.
it is a journey. And as long as you're taking like one action item, like maybe your action item each day is to focus on what you're getting dressed in, like to actually put a little bit of thought and intention in what you're wearing and notice how it makes you feel throughout the day. And like I had something on yesterday and by the end of the day, I was like, this is getting donated. I can't wear this anymore. But it's just having that awareness. And like, that's how you start to slowly peel away the resistance as well.
The grace to be unleashed and unstoppable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. This is a conversation that I want more people to be having. And so I'm so grateful that you had me on and gave me the space to share.
Oh, okay. We will see you, wildly ambitious leaders, next week. Be sure and check out Peak Web Design and get your website done in a way that actually works for you. It actually creates for you. It's not just out there as a fancy brochure. And if you'd like to close the gap from 6 to 7+ figures, I'm your girl. Come talk to me. And there's still some spots left in my program. Those will be closing soon. So just contact me. We can have a conversation, connect. And it's private invite program. See if it's something that would work for both of us. So we can't wait to see you next week. Ciao.
Remember, you're not here to follow the rules. You're here to rewrite them with belief, boldness, and wealth that align. So until next time, next Thursday, stay unleashed and unstoppable. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.